Okay, welcome back. This is video number 2 for the more detailed building project and UVs. And this is the building we made in the first video. And what we're going to do now is we're going to start working on the UVs. And this video is going to cover that, hopefully fairly quickly, but it can be a little bit of a complicated process. But we got to make sure we get the UVs correct, so that when we apply our textures, it makes the building look better. So I'm going to go up to my UV, under Modeling, UV, and then UV Editor. And when I do that, you can see that the UV editor automatically cuts things for me, but they're not exactly cut the way I want them to be. And then also here's my UV toolkit, which can be docked here inside the UV editor. Shrink it down just a little bit so you can have it both on the screen at the same time. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is go to my UV shell, select this, and I'm going to sew this all back together. And it turns it into a big mess, but it makes it easier when I start cutting it the way I want to cut it, so that I can lay it out. Now, there are probably several different methods to doing UVs, and everybody sort of has their own technique, I guess. I'm going to explain to you mine. I work it this way just so that I can keep it simple in my mind, and I also like trying to keep everything flat as possible, since these are going to be using two-dimensional objects. So for example, these faces along the top here, I will cut this piece separately and try to leave it together if possible. All right, so but I'll get started and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to grab these edges on the outside here. Hopefully it'll work with me. It doesn't seem to want to. All right, that's okay. We'll just go ahead and select them individually. All right, so now that I have that first section done, I also need to cut the inside. So I'm going to select the inside pieces. Let's turn it again. Don't want to accidentally cut things I don't want. All right, so now with that done, I'm going to go ahead and use my cut tool here, and I am going to switch to UV shell, and I'm working from the top down. It's just the way I like to do it, and I'm going to pull it off to the side, and I'm going to use as much real estate as I need to in here to make this work. So now that I have that done, I'm going to unfold it, and I am going to also straighten my UV. And now I just have this big square, and it works out better for me this way, mostly so that when I start to do the texturing, we'll put this later. When I do the texturing, I can better see it in my mind how it relates to the building rather. Okay, so now I am also going to just cut this big piece out right here on the top. I'm going to go back to edge and select all 4 corners here. Okay, got those selected, do cut. Move it up out of the way, so next to my building rooftop here. Okay, and now I'm going to take this face on the inside here, and I'm going to select it. Select the edge here. Actually, it has already been cut, but what I need to do is have this layout flat, because we can't texturize it in this sort of a form here. So I'm going to pick an edge that may not be seen the most, and that'll be back here in this back corner. I'm going to cut that. Back to my UV shells again. Select that. I'm going to move it. And I'm going to unfold it. And that was nice, it just disappeared. Let's see here. Okay, well, we may have to come back and play with this a little bit here. All right, so what we're going to have to do is probably figure out the best way to lay this sucker out. And for right now, I will come back to that in a bit. All right, so we're probably going to run into that problem with this slide going down here as well. It's okay. Just go ahead and get everything cut first, and then we'll come back and get our sections laid out. So now I'm going to cut that here. The reason why I'm cutting them so small is, or these small pieces like this, is to help me better visualize and lay out my UVs. Sometimes, though, this can be a problem, as we're beginning to see here. So let's see what happens. Okay, you think I'm running around in circles. I'm clicking off of it by accident, I realize I'm doing it. Okay. All right, and I got everything selected. It looks like I probably do. And now I'm going to also select a section to cut. And I'm going to select that same corner over here. I want the corner on the edge there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to cut it. Go back to my UV shell. And move it. Okay, should be just that whole section right there. Just double check. Looks good. Let's make sure it unfolds. And that's exactly what the other one was supposed to do. All right. What's been going on with my tool, but for some reason it just doesn't want to straighten like it's supposed to. Okay, and that might be what's happening with this one right here. So let's see here. So nope, still doing the same thing. Let's try straightening it first. I'm not doing it. It's not in there. All right, come back to that in a bit. All right, so now I've got that corner cut. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to cut this one out. And again, this one's going to be a flat piece across the top, so I can give it the brick details I want. Another trick is you can select one corner of the line. It's not wanting to pay attention to what I'm doing here. And then click the opposite end and double click. And now I've got them all selected. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this. UV shell. I'm going to select it. Move it. Unfold it. And straighten it. Rotate. All right, back over. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing for this piece, as well as that piece there, and then we can get onto the main building and then work our way down. Okay, so I'm going to, you kind of got the idea of what I'm doing with this top piece. I'm going to pause the video right now. I'm going to continue to work on this top piece here and this piece of the building here, which is pretty easy to do. And then when I get down here, I'll turn the video back on again. Okay, welcome back. So that one piece that was not really cooperating so much with me, what I ended up having to do was stitch it back together and then cut all the edges apart individually and then sew it back together and stitch it back together again. After a couple tries, it finally decided to go ahead and do what we needed it to do and become a nice straight line. So, and you can see that that's that right there. Also, for this piece here, what I did was, if you take a look at the way the cuts are, I cut it off the edge of the building, so I went all the way around it, and then here on the edges, and I'll go back to edge mode. Here on these edges, you can see that I cut them there, sort of like unfolding a box, and you can see the little tabs here. I go to face mode, you can kind of see the equivalent pieces of it here and there. So you can kind of see how I did that. I'm going to do the same process for some of these other sections along here. I'll go ahead and show you the front overhang piece first. I'm going to just unfold it like a box, just like this one, but a little bit bigger. And then I'm going to pause the video again and continue doing them around the front. And I'll pick back up when I do something different after that. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these edges along here. And I'm going to select these edges underneath. And those are already cut on that end. This one needs to be cut over here, so I'm going to select it as well. And apparently I undid something. Okay, let's try that again. All right, so now I've got all of those selected. And I'm going to also select these end pieces so that it'll unfold, hopefully just like a cardboard box unfolds. And I'm going to select that one, and now I'm going to cut it. UV shell, select it again, pull it away, and I'm going to unfold it. And you can see there, it's not exactly proportionally correct, but that is it is now unfolded. Straighten the UV, and there we have it. Once we go to rescale everything, we'll get it back proportionally correct as well. All right, so that's the same process I'm going to use for these other two sides. And then I'll come back up and talk about this indent in here and finishing up the building. So I'm going to pause again and let you work while I work, and then I'll come back in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back again. So now we have the storefront with the indent. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate it. These are all going to get some wood treatment. So this is going to get a wood storefront wood treatment. And then these are going to be like wooden pillars. And then this is a concrete piece down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the background. I'm going to cut out, go to face mode. So I'm going to cut out the background separately. Then I'm going to take these edges here and I'm going to cut them out together. I'm going to cut this out and this piece out together. And these pieces on the edge will also be separate. And this will allow me to use wood piece to give it a sort of a wood column detail. So I'll go ahead and get started on that and let you watch it. So first I'm going to cut out this back piece. I'm going to cut it. Move it out of the way. Unfold it. You can see that right here are my top pieces. They're all laid out. None of them are proportional, but that's just kind of what happens when we start to sew things together and unfold them. But we'll take care of that in the next step with the UVs. All right, so I've got the back piece cut out. Now what I want to do is I'm going to cut this along. So we can see it's already cut along there and along the back. So what I need to do is just cut it here and there. There and there. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to edge mode. I'm going to select it there. I'm going to select it right there, down in that corner, and down on that edge right there. And everything should be, it decided to unselect. Nice. Okay, so now everything should be good, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that and go back to UV mode, UV shell, select it, pull it over out of the way, unfold it. Actually, I'm going to put it down here with this other piece. Keep pushing the wrong buttons. I have one of those nights. All right. So now that's cut. I'm also going to now deal with this piece down here that is the cement slab for my step up. Again, go to edge mode. I'm going to cut it here and there, and I'm going to cut the bottom, off the bottom as well. So now with all of those, I'm going to cut it. It's a very large, non-proportional piece. Unfold it. Okay, set that over there. So now I've got that mostly done. I'm going to finish up this piece here. I'm going to do the same with the other side. Seems like an awful lot of cutting, I know, but this helps me be able to visualize what I'm doing, and I can work with each individual piece as far as my texturing at that point then. Can't remember if I actually did this or not. Looks like I did. Actually, probably should put that in the same direction. All right, so this piece is done, and now the rest of it should go along pretty quickly. I'm going to cut the bottom off of the building, since I already have one section already done. I'll go pretty quick. Let's try it again. Okay, there you have it. And I just want to keep pushing the wrong buttons. Okay, so there's the bottom. Now with the bottom cut, we've already got this piece cut. All I need to do is cut this edge here. And don't forget that little piece down here at the bottom. Okay, cut that. Okay, back to UV shell. Move it down and unfold it. And we'll get these oriented correctly. Once we get everything removed. Now what I'm going to do for these back here is, because these are going to get pretty much the same shell treatment, they're in the back, there's not really a storefront going to go on them. I am going to just leave it connected there. They're already cut along the top, and they should already be cut along the sides. So now all I have to do is select it, move it, unfold them. Okay, and now that should just leave me the main piece of my building right here, the big piece. And I'm just going to cut it along the same back corner that I've been cutting everything else along. Right there. I'm going to cut it. This should be the last piece of the puzzle. And unfold it. And that's that. All right, so I'm going to determine where the top and the bottom of this piece of the building is right now. and this is the top right here. So I'm going to rotate this down. Shell. Take that down a little bit and just straighten it out. All right, so this has been a long enough video. I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. The next video will be the process of getting everything identified and moved into position, and then do the rescaling, getting everything ready to export the UVs. All right, so thank you, and I'll talk to you later.